Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to this Astrology, Human Design, and Gene Keys channel with me, Tan. And I'm here today with my soul sisters, Sarah and Cindy. And we are doing our last and final mini free reading for a beautiful soul today with Sun in Libra, Moon in Leo, and Ascendant in Leo as well. So we are going to be covering the sun, moon, and rising through astrology, human design, gene keys through these three systems, as well as looking a little bit into the Jupiter Uranus conjunction transit that's happening on April 20th and how it will affect this individual. So we're going to begin today's reading with our first impression of your sun, moon, and rising. So I'm going to hand that over to Sarah to begin today.
All right, so we're starting today with Sun in Libra. And when we're talking about the Sun, we're talking about the ideal to which someone strives, their natural abilities, and form, like the ideal form that this person might strive towards. It can also relate with the father and legacy. So for this individual, the sun falls into Libra, which is the sign about balance and diplomacy and harmony. It's Venusian, but it's this kind of Athena, like wisdom version of Venus. And so that's very nice to have in the third house, because third house is about your local community, your siblings, your neighbors. And so maybe this person's very good at resolving those sorts of disputes, or just has this ideal of not having those disputes with people, which can sometimes lead to people pleasing. But we're going to talk about how that's probably not the case, because this person is Leo on the rising. So, people pleasing is it's a sport. It's, they have an audience always. They're very theatrical and dramatic, and especially when you have the moon present here as well. So I just mentioned that the ascendant is Leo, and that's going to be the frames through which this person sees the world. It can also describe their personality, which is why I made the tongue-in-cheek joke. But this person's moon is also in Leo, and so that's very expressive through emotions. Again, drama would be great for this individual, theater, and I don't mean to poke fun too much, because I know that sometimes we can feel like it's, I don't know, narcissistic to be so open and expressive with your emotions, but this person really, that's their very nature, and so they really hopefully are stepping into that and expressing themselves through this fire sign of Leo. So, yeah, and then, of course, when the moon is in the same house, is in the first house, this is going to be something that's very upfront. This is going to be something that people notice about this person. So, yeah, hopefully this person is very expressive. They're very, very creative because of that Venusian influence from the sun. So that's what I'm sensing about this person, is very creative. And yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, before we go into like the specific gene keys and human design gate of your sun, moon, and rising, I just feel like a lot of good vibes around this chart. I think in person, because there is that Saturn there on the 10th house. So it's like maybe when it comes to the public area, it's a little bit different. But like in person, when the ascendant is shining and when you get to know this person a little bit, I think there's such a good vibe. Like maybe just a feeling of that really generator energy, like in human design, it's just a really, really good generator energy of just being lively and like people just want to be around you. I just feel that like a flower and all the bees want to be around the flower. I don't know, but I'm sensing a little bit of that energy and that aura. Yeah, just keeping in mind, like the chart ruler is the sun itself, right? So the chart ruler is in this Venusian sign, and the sun and Venus, and it's just like this beautiful, like Sarah said, this creative dance. Maybe you even like dance, and maybe there's just like the way that your body moves. I'm sensing is also quite beautiful to watch, or to just like pleasing to be around and to watch.
Yeah, I could definitely imagine that. Like with the sun in the 46. I mean, it's like such a sensual energy. It's not on, it's like the let's say the highest like Libra energy that you can imagine, of like that beautiful movement of your body, like being sensual, like just trying to stop interfering with life, maybe, and to really dive deeper into your body and fully be in your body. I think that's what the 46 here in your conscious sun is teaching you, to really step into the sensual nature of yours, and the physical, like use the physical form that you have to move through life. I think like dance was a really good example, actually, how you could be, or how this could be playing out in your life. Yeah, that's my take on her sun energy.
Yeah, I've also noticed that a lot of people with their sun in gate 46 like to move. So either they like to bike, or they like to motorbike, or like to drive or run or something like that, because it is in the gene keys, there's a bird associated with this one, with the bird archetype, the dream arc. And the bird for this one is the roadrunner. It's like the really super fast bird that can run so fast. So there's that energy like of movement. And I think that there's a lot of luck and serendipity when it comes to the gene keys here as well. It's the signs of luck. It's like being in the right place at the right time kind of energy. So if you really love your body and you listen to where your body wants to go, you might end up being somewhere, and then you meet the love of your life, or you might meet your best friend forever or something like that. It's like just being there, and then suddenly something really truly magical happened and your life changes forever. It's that type of energy to it. And then, of course, you also have the shadow here, which is called seriousness. And this is a little bit like you don't love your body. It's like that feeling of like you can always find fault within your body. So maybe you want to hide it, or maybe you want to change it because you're dissatisfied with it in some ways. And yeah, and I think that this energy is really calling for you to love your body just as it is, and engage in self-care practices. Because like Cindy said, it is a very sensual sort of energy. So self-care practices like taking a warm bath, eating your favorite foods, putting on, body oil or something that just really shows your body that you love it. Those kinds of rituals will really help you to tap into the love of your body, which allows you to trust your body, which allows you to move and be in the right place at the right time and just experience a lot of beautiful things.
Yeah, I think what I also want to presence with this particular gene key is the word charming or charmed, because I think that when we're at that frequency, we can feel that. And so, especially on this kind of cusp of Virgo and Libra, it feels really important to do those kinds of practices that you're talking about, where you feel charming, like you're treating yourself. So it feels like that's a kind of a motor that you can run if you're, doing those things for yourself that make you feel charming, beautiful, and, putting on, the extra décolletage or the jewelry that you feel like, yeah, that's putting me in that frequency that's going to attract that in too.
Love that.
Yes. And I even think sometimes that people with this incarnation cross, like if we consider to have the 46 and then their conscious earth is the 25, which comes with a lot of like healing energy. And she has like the incarnation cross or the left angle cross of healing. So if you consider the physical body, sometimes how this can play out in your life is that maybe you're becoming sick, or you were sick in the past, and now you're inspiring others through your own healing journey of your physical body, for example, with that like deep love and compassion that you gave to yourself in order to heal. And then as a sixth line, you're also kind of giving that compassion and love out to the others, and you are embodying this, what you want to see out in the world, basically. So that's really powerful. I really love that.
Yeah, and I think what's also really powerful here is that the moon in Leo in the first house is also like falling into gate 29, which then completes this channel here, because the sun is in the 46 and the moon is in 29. So I would say that this channel is such an important energy that you have here in your chart. And I think that this is an energy that you have to really use up every day. And it's almost like your life purpose energy, this channel of discovery. It's a very tantric channel because it pushes up the fire in your belly from the sacral up to your soul, which is in the G center. So it's like, it's really about trust and surrendering to the unknown with your whole heart. The 20 is all about devotion, right? So we have like devotion and ecstasy. So if you really allow your follow your heart, follow the fire of your heart to wherever it wants to go. And I actually mean wherever it wants to go, like physically, but of course, just also, in relationships, where your heart wants to take you in relationships and many areas of your life, but a lot of it is quite physical. So that's why like dance, it's important to really get you into that type of energy. But yeah, if you really devote and commit to the unknown, just because your heart says it without any reason, right? This tantric energy there's no reasoning from the mind. It's just love. Love is guiding it. Maybe you fall in love with someone and you have no idea why you fell in love with this person. You can't explain it. And maybe they live halfway across the world, but you just really follow your heart there. And then once you do, you just experience luck and things uplifting in your life and things kind of falling into place. It's that type of energy. So it's so magical and so tantric and so beautiful. So I really, really like that.
Yeah, I think it's also like that type of healing energy that comes or that can come anytime. Like if it is just laughter that you bring to others, for example, or just you being like or feeling lighter, that's like you with your whole being. You are going to affect the people around you. And that's the healing energy. That's the like the commitment you came with into this world to just be yourself. And by that, you are healing the people around you.
Yeah, like commit to your healing. I really like that with this chart here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we have the ascendant, which is the last part of this chart. And then the ascendant is falling into the early degrees of Leo, which is gate 31 or gene key 31. Very interesting gene key because it is all about leadership and sounding your truth. So a part of your life path here I'm sensing into is your voice, because the 31 is also, well, it's not going to really be shown in human design, but it is here in the throat. And that's really what, leaders are doing in the world is they speak up and they speak for what they feel the collective needs to hear. And here we have this energy of humility, which is a leader who speaks without fearing what other people are going to think about them, because what they say is more important than their own image, which is, of course, the opposite of arrogance, which is fearing what people are going to think about you and that your image is more important than what you actually say that could actually benefit and help a lot of people. So that's a very interesting energy that we have here. And I also sense a lot of nobility with this one too, because of that humility. It's an energy of like respect, like people really respect you when you are really stepping into the leadership energy, because like I think this one, if you're not humble, right, it can really be a strong energy too. It can be overwhelming to be around. It can be that energy of like when people are talking to you, you're always right, or you don't really listen to anybody else. Nobody else gets to talk. You're the biggest person in the room, so it can be very overwhelming and very intense. But just, the key point with this one is just to understand that you don't care what they're going to think. So there's a very subtle line, I think, between like humility and arrogance. Arrogance is still caring. And when it's still caring, it's defensive in a sense. But when you don't care anymore, you just allow yourself to be crazy, even though you're taking up space, but you can laugh at yourself. You can laugh at people that laugh at you in that sense, then it really just becomes a really beautiful and fun energy to be around in that Leo type of way too.
Yeah, I think the thing about arrogance and humility is that arrogance assumes that there is some other authority that gets to tell it what it can and can't do. And so it's kind of fighting up against that, where the humility is just seeing, equanimity or whatever it is, but just, everything is perfect as it is. And so I'm just going to accept, this role if it's given to me. So I don't know, there's just something like that's coming through really like what you're saying about there being a proper way to express yourself, especially with the ideals of Libra, especially of thinking like, I always need to be diplomatic. I always need to do, things how this would be in polite society. That's what Libra really strives towards. But then there's that really bold moon in the first house in Leo that's saying, actually, this is how I feel. And I'm going to express how I feel in every moment, as opposed to walking on eggshells and feeling like there are certain things that I can't say for the sake of keeping, things running smoothly. I think actually, in some cases, especially through communication, this person is set up with great star magic to say whatever you're feeling in the moment, and whatever it is, wherever the conditioning came from that said, oh, you can't say that here, or you can't do that here, all that, sorry, doesn't work for you.
I love that. Yeah. So with this, maybe now we can move into the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and how that's going to be affecting this individual in their chart. So here we have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction chart, and we have this conjunction happening up here in the 10th house, which is going to be conjunct your natal Saturn. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Sarah to continue.
Yeah, so we were talking, or I guess every astrology you've ever heard in the past couple of months has been talking about this particular transit. This is the transit of the year because it's just following this eclipse, and it's just, a lot of things are happening. And particularly in Taurus, because Jupiter expands and Uranus is unpredictable. And so something here, some sort of explosive breakthrough is coming through in everybody's chart in this particular area. And so we'll talk about the gene keys too. But for this individual, it's conjunct their Saturn and in the 10th house. So that tells us that it has something to do with perhaps the career, or at least who this person is, in the external world. So, and in those themes of Taurus, which are going to be our financial sector, it could have something to do with our stability, our security, just on those themes of Taurus. So, yeah, I wonder what you all are thinking for this particular individual, what that might mean.
Yeah, I just want to presence here that there is such a big difference between Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus. It's like the way that Saturn is telling you about Taurus energy is so different from the way that Uranus and Jupiter wants to tell you about this Taurus energy. So it's really like all the shoulds that you think are involved in your image, your legacy, the way that you come across to the world, all those shoulds. Jupiter and Uranus is like saying, well, put them in the trash and just step away from all the shoulds and really step into your authentic self. And of course, this is happening in Gene Key 23. So we're talking about like your voice, this is in the throat, your speech, and sharing and living your life in a way where you're designing your life. That's what Richard Rudd would call it. You design your own life. You're not following what a teacher has told you or what somebody else tells you should live your life, because that makes your life more complex. And see how Saturn can kind of do that. Saturn might be a little bit like, yeah, you can design your own life, but maybe just make sure that you design it in a way that's still practical for you, that you can kind of predict the outcome. But then Jupiter and Uranus comes and says, well, now you got to design your own life and just really do it. Just go wild. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about if it's practical or not. The universe is going to support you, that kind of an energy. So yeah, it's really interesting how this spark is happening on your Saturn.
Yeah, and whenever we're looking at Saturn, I like to involve the unconscious Saturn actually as well. And I checked before, it's in her gene key too, which is pretty interesting, of course, because we were talking about all that feminine energy before in your chart already. And here this theme is coming up again because gene key 2 or gate 2 is the most feminine, is the most yin of all the gates in the chart. So maybe during that time, everything for you comes down to really following your true inner direction, because this is the receptive. This is the feminine surrendering to what life has to offer to her. It's not kind of the leader or the person who's guiding others. No, it's the person who's guided by life, basically, by all that energy that comes towards you. So in order to trust into your intuition, basically, and for that, I would suggest you with your unconscious sun in the 52, like to really take time for yourself and like take that stillness, like try to go into this deep state of meditation, maybe into rest, like take time for yourself in order to let that intuition enter and guide you in the direction that it wants to have you, basically.
Yeah, I saw you circled something, Tan, so I was gonna wait until you went to
Oh
say
no,
what
I
I
was
was
just
gonna.
circling what Cindy was saying about the
Oh, gotcha. Okay. This is the problem with not all of us controlling the controls. Okay. So, yeah, what I was going to say is that this Jupiter Uranus conjunction on your Saturn is a sacred yes. It's a big opening. And that in that feminine way of reception and receiving whatever it is, and it's going to be better than what you expected. I think that's what you're going to learn is from the actual
Yeah.
experience happening on such a constricting, restricting planet, because it feels so like, well, the Saturn return just feels so,
Yeah.
limiting. So I think that this is just going to be a exploding, a
Yeah.
big, humongous breakthrough in that 10th house of career.
Yeah. A blessing in disguise, in a sense.
Oh yeah, that's what's sad.
Yeah. Actually, I was gonna say travel. I don't know why I sense travel, but actually, maybe what I'm sensing into is relocation with that like 10th house, fourth house axis and Uranus and Jupiter. Maybe that's something that it's just been happening with you over the last few years already, because since Uranus has been in Taurus, maybe there's been like, oh, I'm moving here and there already, but here's really bringing a solidification, but also an expansion and an unpredictability. Like you didn't expect you would actually move there, but it's actually maybe bringing you a lot of expansion and luck in a sense, and maybe you can ground there as well, and maybe find
Mm.
foundations there. But you just didn't expect that it would be that type of event or way of happening or place, kind of like that.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
some reason, this is really probably not a great example, but I imagine like this house built on stilts, and then this huge tidal wave just coming through and taking out the stilts, but the house just lands perfectly, and now you have a beach home.
I love that. All right. Well, do you guys have any last messages to add? Okay.
Well, in her chart, I would probably always just come back to the South Node right on her like moon, and in such a situation, like just try to let go of control. I would say, like with that South Node in Virgo, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
don't have the fear to mess anything up. Like, and you cannot go and or you cannot make a wrong decision. Basically, everything will guide you exactly where you have to learn your next lesson. Basically. So
Yeah, learn to
yeah.
let go, learn to accept. Yeah, with the North Node Pisces. You're absolutely
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Mhm, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, surrender and just letting it happen, letting it flow.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are sending you lots of love today, and we hope that you enjoy the insights that has come through today in your reading. If you guys are watching out there and you're interested in getting a reading from us, we do more extensive readings where we go deeper into your charts and use astrology, humans, and the gene keys. So you can visit our website, hyphensoul.com, and see if you resonate with any of the readings we have there. We're always happy to do them for you guys. So, yes, sending everyone a happy Uranus Jupiter conjunction and
Yeah.
lots of surrender and love. Bye.
Bye.